Then you have a totally different power, which is essentially the army, the police force. The army and the police force are not usually on the same side. They have battles over territories, who gets what from corruption and so forth. And then you have the countryside. Now, the country has, say, 75 million people, and the people in Bangkok is maybe 10 million or 12 million. But of the 10 to 12 million in Bangkok, maybe only 1 million is the middle class and the aristocracy, or maybe 2 million. But it's, in the context of the whole country, it's a very small minority. And the majority lives essentially in poor areas of the countryside. We have a very high illiteracy rate in Thailand. Maybe 35% are illiterate. And Thaksin, with his Thai Rock Thai party, Thai Love Thai party, he was able to mobilize the people in the countryside. And we had a democracy in the sense that everybody could go and vote, and he was very good at harnessing the votes of the poor people by essentially promising them a lot. It's like he has some similarities to Perón of Argentina, a populist leader, who can get the masses to vote for him. And so he got elected, and then he obviously was corrupt, but in my opinion, not much more or to the same extent that all the other leaders have been corrupt. But he polarized power, and he sidelined the Bangkok aristocracy. Suddenly the people that were able to capitalize on the system and cash in and get this and that, they were on the side. And so they were very displeased, and they noticed that with their minority of maximum, say, 2 million people in Bangkok, they would get nowhere. So they staged essentially a palace coup and got rid of Thaksin, mostly on corruption charges, which to some extent are probably justified. And then there was a caretaker government that came about. The party of Thaksin was dissolved, but of course it doesn't help to dissolve a party if the power base is still there. So they started a new party, the People's Power Party, and it was essentially the same party of Thaksin under his influence and so forth, and that displeased the Bangkok aristocracy also. So they started to demonstrate about 6 months ago, and then it grew more intense, and then Samak, the then prime minister, was kind of forced to resign. I don't think he was such a bad man personally, but he was forced to resign. And the worst outcome is that the new prime minister was Thaksin's brother-in-law. Can you imagine? It's about as if the Marcos, you get rid of the Marcoses, but you appoint then a government based on, say, a brother of Marcos or a brother of Imelda or a son of Marcos, a son of Imelda, or whatever it is. So nothing really changed. And that again displeases the Bangkok aristocracy. Now, the solution is obviously very difficult to envision, because in a democracy, if you have a democracy, you have one person, one vote. That the Bangkok aristocracy is not prepared to accept. They want essentially professional organizations to appoint the majority of politicians. But in my opinion, that is also a very questionable system, that you have professional organizations appointing the majority of people that will then lead the country. And the royal family, the king's family, is of course more on the side of the Bangkok aristocracy. This has to be, but equally they are in a very difficult position. You know, so they can't come out openly because the majority of people in Thailand, they have a high respect for the king at the present time, and he has to be watchful that he doesn't lose that trust of the people.
Is this political problem the ones that's causing Thailand stock market to stay at the cheapest level? I mean, it has been the cheapest level
you know,
for some time.
this year it hasn't gone down more than other markets.
Yeah.
So I would say the market is down partly because all the other markets are down, and it may be cheaper than the other markets because the political situation creates some uncertainty, but I think people also realize that Thailand is not a dynamic economy. You know, it's an economy, it's not going to go into a depression because a large portion of the economy and the population, they live in the countryside. So, you know, business is good in the world or business is bad. They don't know anything about CDOs or, you know, they just go about their daily lives. I mean, you ask here ordinary people in the street, they have no idea about that stocks crash. I talked yesterday to a girl in the evening. I said to her, "Are you aware that everything is collapsing in the world?" She said, "Yes, we have very bad typhoon." Yes, you know, simple people, they've never owned a share in their life. They never really had a property in their lives. They have nothing. These people, they're not affected by the crisis very badly. Maybe one day when they are domestic servants, they will lose their jobs, or they hear maybe from their boss that this is bad. But themselves, they have nothing. They have nothing to lose. It's like the Asian crisis hit the rich people the hardest. This crisis hits the rich people the hardest. The people that have nothing, they have nothing to lose.
What's needed then to boost Thailand's stock market? I mean,
well, I mean, I think the global economy has to stabilize, and markets around the world have to stabilize before Thailand will go up again. But my concern is, you know, Thailand depends quite a lot on tourism. I mean, I would say tourism, everything related to tourism is maybe like 10% of GDP. And for sure, tourism is down. I mean, big time. Now, I think foreigners are stupid because, you know, they may have some demonstrations in Bangkok and so forth. It doesn't touch your holidays in Chiang Mai or in Phuket or in Koh Samui or so. But, you know, then you have governments, they publish travel advisory services, don't go, and this and that. I mean, so, I mean, tourism is way down, very, and again in Thailand, I'm not that often there, but I'm every month there. And I ask everybody who has a business, how is business? It's down everywhere. Everything is down. Now, some is down more than others, but it's down everywhere.
Dr. Faber, Indonesia this week, among the markets in Asia, was penalized most. I mean, even, in fact, today the authorities suspended stock market trading. Why is this country being penalized so hard? Is it because of its commodities?
Well, you know, they have relatively high inflation, and they didn't tighten monetary policies sufficiently. And now, in order to support the currency, they have to tighten monetary policies. And there is concern among Indonesians and foreigners that the currency will collapse. So immediately there's selling pressure on equities. And I think we could go down quite a bit more.
I see.
Like Brazil, you know, the Brazilian market has been totally decimated in the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
I mean, CBRD is a very good company. Total collapse in the share price.